Welcome to Body Hack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. In today's episode, we're diving into an emerging science around ivermectin and fenbendazole in cancer care, and why these unconventional tools are gaining attention. I'm also sharing a personal update on my mom's cancer journey, her latest test results, and what's working in her protocol right now. If you're curious about alternative options backed by early research and real results, this episode is for you. I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I want to remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. Hello, body hacking community. Today, we're going to have an unconventional conversation regarding what the science is saying about ivermectin and fenbendazole in cancer research, because I had some really good news and I'm going to share them a little bit later. But before then, I want to just update you guys. I have just came back from Thailand. I've been there on a kind of a retreat / conference, and some of the people I really look up to was at this conference. And because I have so many people asking about methylated vitamin B, I figured I was going to ask the expert, because even though I'm educating people, sometimes it feels like they're not really hearing what I'm saying because I don't have a doctor degree, and there are hip doctors out there on social media that are educating people like, stop taking your vitamin B supplementation. You have to buy mine because it's methylated and it's so much better because of X, Y, and Z. And people can get very confused. And I understand that. So I wanted to ask Dr. Colin Robertson what his take was on vitamin B, if it needs to be methylated, if that is any better than unmethylated, and what is the real problem here? Because if our body is not able to function, just giving it what it needs is not always fixing the root cause, if that makes sense. But Dr. Colin is explaining this so well, so I just wanted to cut this in to today's podcast. So if you're using a multivitamin, listen to this. He's talking for about 3 minutes, and it is super interesting. And then we're going to get back to our conversation for today.
There are different aspects to this. And again, for me, it leads back to a certain amount of misinterpretation. There's a big difference between methylation, which is a process that the body engages. There is some really good evidence that shows that now we are like 7 generations in to the industrialization of food, and that methylation, sort of biological, physiological methylation processes have been hindered in humans. And so, as is often the case, people go, okay then, so then a methylated vitamin must be the answer, but it's not. And again, I've been on panels already. A few months ago, I was down with the British Medical Association in London. I was in a big seminar, we were discussing this there. So biological methylation is not answered by having a methylated vitamin. And what happens is, and I'll say this indiscriminately, some companies will pop up with lots of magical words and they'll say it's methylated and it's better because this, and people go, okay, 1 and 2 equals 4. It's the same kind of train of thought that back in the 70s told people eating fat made them fat. And then in the 2000s, people said the reason why you're overweight is because of carbohydrates. They're a bad guy. So it's the same type of thinking that is, to me, in some instances, just a misinterpretation. In others, a willful misinterpretation. However, that said, where we look at a formulation, and there's a swap out we're going to make at the moment, actually. But no matter how many methylated vitamins you eat, that's not going to correct your methylation issues physiologically. Okay, that is the outcome of your consistency around your diet, your exercise behavior, your hydration, how strongly and reinforcing you are with intelligent supplementation, and then we see an adaptation, and that takes time, and you can reinvigorate methylation pathways in the body because it's similar to epigenetics. They are an informed response. And so there is a good argument that says when you look at a whole formulation where a methylated version has a better fit, and I'm totally on board with that, and we're proactively doing that. But this naive notion that methylated vitamins are better than this hold no ground, hold no substance. And if you go and have a look at the latest consensus paper, which is 2022, which was both a meta-analysis and systematic review, showed that it's a significant 0.003. There was no observable difference in methylation physiologically when a person consumed methylated or non-methylated vitamins. It's an abandoned scenario that people are using purely because they've got no better way to market fake science.
So isn't he brilliant in the way he's explaining it? Anyway, so Thailand was amazing, by the way. It is nothing like being on the beach, meditating, and hearing the waves coming in and coming out. And then going on and walking on the beach and finding a massage place, laying there completely relaxed, face down, feeling someone give a good deep massage as you're just laying there listening to the waves and meditating. It's so refreshing. Just from telling you this makes me have goosebumps all over my body. I am envisioning it. It's so good. I almost believe I'm there right now. But I feel sad for people that doesn't like massages. My body loves massages. And I pretty much went and had a massage every single day. I just love it so much. It does something to my whole body, my energetic field, with my lymphatic system, with my nervous system, with pretty much everything. And it just makes me feel like a new person after a week of like the ocean and massages. But coming back home, coming back to reality, I call my mom, of course. My mom is one of my biggest inspirations on this planet and the biggest reason why I got into this field. And if you haven't heard about her story, I have talked about her story in episode 2, and I've also done an update on her cancer journey a few episodes into this podcast. And for you who is completely new to this podcast, my mom had been diagnosed several times with cancer, the first time in 2013. And thanks to her being willing to listen to me and try everything I'm telling her to try, she responded very, very well. And her body was able to fight the cancer. And actually, we did remove the cancer when it was colon cancer she was struggling with. But she did not need any chemo. We were able to do everything just with nutrition. And that was the first time in 2013. And then her cancer came back in 2016. And then it was so bad that the doctor said there's nothing we can do. But again, I've already told her story, so you can go back to listen to those episodes. But what happened now in August 2024 was that she had another cancer diagnosis. And this time she had cancer in both lungs, in her liver, in her spine, and also on her throat. And it's a little bit trickier now to deal with her cancer because prior interventions we have been doing have contained ketogenic diet, it have contained fasting, and contained lots and lots of nutrients, but mainly like starving the cancer from all sugars and glucose. But we can't do that now because my mom is in a situation where she needs IV fluids every other day or sometimes every day. And that's a lot of glucose that gets right into her bloodstream. So she's not able to starve the cancer out because then she will die because she needs the fluids, because she doesn't have any of the big intestines left. That means that she's not able to absorb any fluid from the diet she's eating. So if she's eating a fruit, she's not able to absorb and retain the water. And what she's drinking, she's not able to absorb it. So she really needs to get fluids into her body. But because of this, I have gone on extensive research for more things we can add to her protocol. And two of the things that I came across, we're going to talk about it today. But before we do that, I want to put out a disclaimer here that I am not a doctor and this is not medical advice. by someone passionate about empowering people with knowledge, I believe we need to be having a more open conversation, especially when conventional options can feel limited. So today we're going to explore substances with a critical but open mind. And if you're anything like me, curious about new research, especially when it comes to complex health issues like cancer, we are going to dive a little bit deeper into something that has been circling in both the scientific and holistic health space. And it's ivermectin. Because I'm talking about this now, YouTube will not even allow me to post this episode up on YouTube. They're always erasing everything that have these names in them, which is a little bit frustrating, but it also means that maybe there are information out there that we need to go and find, right? Because these are not typical tools in cancer care, but I still want to explore why people are talking about them and what the science is actually saying. Because this is not a hype, but informed curiosity. And my curiosity has got me so far that this is something that we also brought into my mom's protocol, that she herself have chosen because she have also looked into the science and want to see how her body is reacting and affected by it. So let's go into ivermectin and cancer. Ivermectin is best known as an antiparasitic medication, actually. But there have been a lot of recent studies that have explored its potential anticancer effects. It's shown some ability in lab studies to inhibit cancer cell proliferation, trigger apoptosis, and even reverse resistance to chemotherapy in some cancers. And in my mom's case, we're actually doing this in combination with chemotherapy right now. She's getting a low dosage of chemotherapy. And I forgot to tell you guys why I'm so excited about this podcast episode today. Because my mom was actually at her oncologist today. And I got this message earlier this morning from my mom and dad. And they write, "We just came from the oncologist where we spoke to a doctor. Everything was positive. The metastases have decreased in size in all places. Mom herself feels that her lump in her neck has become smaller. All blood tests shows good values. The cancer value has gone down from 81 to 63. Mom's body can tolerate the treatment she's receiving, and the doctor was happy with these results, and the treatment will continue for 2 more months before another x-ray. So all of our prayers have been answered in positive ways, and all cancer treatments with other tablets, supplementation, off-label medication, and methods we are doing, it seems to help her. Love from mom and dad." So of course I had to call back and talk with my mom today, and she was super, super, super excited that what we have been doing so far have actually started showing on the x-rays as well. In August, she got the diagnosis that she had the cancer all over again in 5 different spots. And the doctors did not give her a lot of hope. I was kind of mad at them because what they told my mom was there's really not anything to do because it's everywhere. So they can't go in with radiation. They weren't willing to do much. And they basically said that when it gets too bad, we have a hospice bed for you so you can come in and get a hospice bed. And that makes me mad. If my mom would not be my mom, if my mom would not know me, if my mom would have been someone that trusted every single word the doctor said, that would have been a death sentence and she would have lost all hope. Instead, I am so grateful that my mom is my mom and she calls me and we are looking for the future and we are putting together a protocol and we are talking through different things that we can do. And she's willing to try anything and everything I tell her to. And I'm so, so, so honored and thankful for her being my mom and for listening to me. Oh, I'm starting to cry right now. I'm starting to cry. I'm crying because I'm so grateful because I see so many people that have parents that doesn't want to listen. They don't think that what the food they're eating is making that big of a difference. They should just listen to the doctors no matter what. And I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to your doctors. What I'm telling you is the doctors don't understand how the body's built up most of the time and the building blocks the body needs and what is really affecting us to have the symptoms. They're very good at knowing a symptom and what they should do from a medical perspective to treat that symptom. But if you want to have a holistic perspective on what's really going on in your body, you really need to understand the food you're eating, the nutrition you're putting into your body, and how the body is going to affect and react to that. And that's why I'm so honored for my mom to listen to me. Because of this, we have had her in our lives since 2013. Thanks to that, she had been able to see her grandkids grow up. Because my firstborn, he was only 2 years in 2013. And thanks to that, she had been able to see my second son be born and my third child, that is my daughter, be born. And I am not taking that for granted. I am deeply, deeply thankful. And I hope that her story can inspire you out there, that when you are met by hardship, when you are met with words you don't want to hear, that knowledge can be very empowering. And if you choose knowledge and do the research and are open, you might be blessed like my mom. Okay, lots of emotions here. Let's continue on the subject. I might be inspired to come back to that later on. But when we're looking at ivermectin, there have been multiple studies done with ivermectin, and some of them is a little bit hard to find because sometimes they need to hide the results of them a little bit. But there is a 2021 study in pharmacological research suggesting that ivermectin has multi-targeted anti-tumor effects, including disrupting the metabolism of cancer cells. So what would that mean for a normal person? Well, the cancer is like a factory. It needs to have fuel to keep the factory running. And if we can disrupt the metabolism of the cancer cells, we would then disrupt their energy production, which would potentially mean that the cancer cells could potentially die. But most of these studies have mostly been done in vitro, meaning in a lab, so not on real people. We still need human trials to know what's actually effective and safe when we're talking about ivermectin. But there are more and more testimonials coming out there. But like I said, you usually don't find them on YouTube. You usually have to go to platforms that are not owned by someone that is influenced by the government. And I'm just going to leave it at that, and then you'll go out and do your own research. Fenbendazole is also an antiparasitic used in animals. You may have heard of the viral story of Joe Tippens, who claims it helps him beat cancer after being told it was terminal. His story sparked curiosity all over the world, and some scientists began to explore it more seriously. And what they found was that fenbendazole seems to interfere with microtubule function, which may help inhibit the division of cancer cells. So if we're able to inhibit that, then the cancer cells can't duplicate as rapid or effective. And there are some lab and animal studies supporting its anticancer potential, especially in lung and colon cancer. And again, most of these is early stage research. There is no official medical approval for a cancer treatment in humans yet. And we can all debate if that is because we're not ready for it yet, or if it's just too little money behind that. But because it's a off-label drug that people can get a hold of from different sources, I tend to see a lot of people in holistic groups that are wanting to support their body on a cancer journey naturally. A lot of them are just paying out of pocket, and I see a lot of success stories out there. So I wouldn't be surprised whenever we are starting to do human trials that it will also show a very positive effect on humans. So why are people interested in these two antiparasitic medications? A few reasons are that because conventional treatments can be exhausting and ineffective for some, these substances are low cost, off patent, and often overlooked by big pharma. They seem to target non-traditional pathways like cellular stress or immune modulation. And I think people are drawn to anything that gives them hope. And we deserve more funding for this kind of out-of-the-box research, don't you think? If there is something out there that is working, why are we not investigating it further? Well, because if it's not a patent, there is not really any money to make. And then if there is not really a lot of money, then there is no one that is really wanting to fund the projects. So my take on this as a Swedish nutritionist and health educator is that I truly believe in test-based and data-driven approaches. But I'm also very fascinated when there are people out there that have tried it already, and we're seeing really positive effects by it. And that makes me wanting to urge the scientific field to start exploring this. I feel like we own it to humanity when so many people are struggling with cancer today that we are researching all avenues, and not only what big pharma is willing to put in their money, but I would love to see some private actors coming together and do some research that is really test-driven and science-based, but on things that are affordable and that can potentially be working very effectively in humans. But if you're thinking about doing anything, just know that this is not medical advice at all. You should always consult your functional medical doctor or integrative oncologist before trying anything. I just love asking the questions. And the questions have led me to a path that for my mom seems to work very, very well. And whether you're a practitioner or a patient or someone supporting a loved one, stay curious. Also stay critical and stay empowered. Because when you keep on asking why, and how, and you're really open to listen and learn, that is when you're going to start becoming very empowered with the knowledge that you're gaining along the road. And like I'm telling people, the only cure we have is prevention. And if we can empower us to learn more, to create better circumstances for our body, for self-healing, for functioning better, for having better cellular health, then that is what's going to help us live as healthy as possible for as long as possible and create the blue zone within our own life, within our own family, and maybe you're inspiring so many that may be in your own little town. And if you want to learn more about these protocols, I encourage you to go to Facebook. There's multiple groups out there, support groups that helps with both helping you find the links to research, finding links to testimonials, finding links to all different kinds of data that you might want to read. And before we're stopping, I would encourage you to go to Google Scholar and you can search for ivermectin and cancer there. And when you do that, you will have about 26,700 peer-reviewed articles regarding ivermectin and cancer. So there is a quite good amount of data out there. And since I have researched a lot regarding colon cancer, I would like to just pull up the second article right there that says ivermectin has new application inhibiting colorectal cancer cell growth. And the main essence from this founding from 2021 was that the ivermectin is traditional antiparasitic drug, but it was found to inhibit the growth of colorectal cancer cells. And the reason was that they were seeing that they're blocking cancer cells' proliferations, so they're slowing their growth. They induce cell cycle arrest, which preventing them from dividing. And then they're triggering apoptosis, so programmed cell death. So they also saw that ivermectin also appears to suppress inflammation and oxidative stress, which are often involved in cancer progression. And the effect was shown in vitro in cell cultures, which means lab studies, not yet in human trials. But the study itself do suggest that ivermectin could be repurposed as an anti-cancerous agent, especially when we're talking about colorectal cancer. The positive effect is that it's low cost, it's well known, and it's widely available, which is why it's getting attention in both research and functional medicine spaces. And it is important to understand that these are early stage results. More research is needed in animals and human trial before it could even be recommended clinically. And when you're researching Fenbendazole and cancer on Google Scholar, there's about 3,000 peer-reviewed articles showing up there as well. And the 2021 study in ovarian cancer found that bendazole could slow cancer cell growth in the lab, but it didn't shrink tumors in live animals unless it was injected with a special polymer. So that shows that it's not just about what you take, but how your body is absorbing it. And it is early stage, but it's very intriguing to read this kind of scientific articles. And it can also mean that just taking it all by itself may not be as effective. But we should look into how different components in our food and our nutrition plan might potentially help to elevate the ability for other substances to work within our body. There is also a 2020 study found that fenbendazole may kill leukemia cells by increasing oxidative stress in the body, essentially using a controlled cellular burnout to push cancer cells into apoptosis. This giving us one more clue into why the humble antiparasitic drug is showing up in cancer conversations. And if you want to read the full article, it's called Involvement of Reactive Oxygen Species in the Anticancer Activity of Fenbendazole. And it was published in the Korean Journal of Veterinary Research in 2020. So in the conversation of us talking about what could and cannot work for our body, I think it's always important to understand that a healthy body begins with a healthy cell. And if we can increase the cell function, first of all, so the cell membrane fluidity is working, our energy production is working better, then our healthy cells will function better. And then there are other different types of nutrients as well, like MSM, that is opening up the cell walls, kind of. So it's easier to penetrate. That could potentially help other things that needs to get into the cells. And researching then ivermectin, fenbendazole, and beta-1316 glucans. Also another thing is very, very intriguing is blue algae. I have my mom drink it every single day. And I also feel that is playing a big role into the protocol that she's doing right now that is affecting, so far, her body in a very positive way. And I'm so happy and excited for her journey. And if you're out there intrigued, well, I encourage you just do the research. go out, read. And I know it can be a lot. And if you need anything to be pointed at, now you have this podcast episode so that you can go through. I did also do another podcast episode where I was kind of going through the protocol that I was doing for my mom, just kind of in a way that these are the things and items I've been researching. These are the things that you should also be doing research about. And just kind of encourage you to write all the names down, go to Google Scholar, do some research, and just see also what are other people's experiences with it, because that is in the end the thing I love the most, is what is actually working. And we can call it what is actually giving people a placebo effect. I'm completely fine with calling it placebo effect. For me, the result is what's speaking. And that is the case in everything I do. If I want beautiful skin, I go and ask someone with beautiful skin. If I want to have a normal insulin response, I will not go to an overweight doctor and ask them what I should do to reach and maintain a good health. I will find someone that I can look up to in that area, and I will ask them what they are doing. So when you find someone that have found a way for it to work, then you ask them and see what did they do. Because success leaves clues. And if you're able to find the clues, then maybe you can find your answer. With that being said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. And don't forget to go out barefoot, do some grounding, get some sun soaked into your body now when we start having spring and the sun is showing up more for us. Utilize it, use it. And then I would also encourage you to go out and smile to a stranger today. A smile can completely change someone's day. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I'll see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.